Hello everyone, my name is Mercy Sharon and welcome back to iGaming Africa's live webinar sessions, episode 10. And with me are some of our lovely panelists. But before I give them a chance to introduce themselves, I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors for today's events, Age Lagos, Nigeria. Thank you so much for sponsoring us and supporting us and making sure that this webinar is successful. So before we get to the nitty gritties of our topic today, I just like my panelists first to introduce themselves, tell us who they are, a little bit of what it is you guys do, and then we'll get started.
Hi there. Hi, everybody. My name is Naniki van der Skeef. I'm a senior talent recruitment specialist. I'm actually standing in today on behalf of Lois Bright. She's our managing director. So I will be standing in on the panel and just sharing out my knowledge of the industry. We're part of Initiate International, who is one of the biggest recruiters in Africa, in the African gaming market, and also fall under part of the Connexus group. So yeah, today I'm representing as well as representing South Africa. I don't know who you guys are supporting in the AFCON. So
Hello.
yeah. I know it's going to be a debate, but yes, guys, South Africa all the way. But to my African friends as well, brothers and sisters, yeah, we'll support you guys too. Um, that's it from my side.
Great. So I'm Ondela Vundisa. So I also, have some experience in the gaming industry. I have a big background in insurance, entrepreneurial, B2B sales, B2C, marketing, retention. I've got, a whole lot of, also business development. So I'm currently an account manager for Phoenix 7, company based in Japan, but we brought teams all around, the world, Malta, Poland, Russia, Ukraine. So yeah, so I'm here to share, experiences from my own personal experience, and these are my own personal, opinions on what I'll be sharing today.
Thank you so much, guys, for that lovely, lovely introduction. And before we continue, I know some people are wondering where some of our panelists are because there's some faces that are definitely missing. But
Yeah.
unfortunately, Lois couldn't join us today. And James also had an emergency back at their company. But regardless, we'll try and make this as engaging and as exciting for you guys as possible. So today's topic will basically be revolving around talking about exploring job opportunities for young Africans in Africa within the iGaming industry. And I feel like this is a really great topic because the margin of iGaming and the youth is sort of very seamless because I mean it's the major demographic when it comes to talking about gaming and sports and all that. So I feel like the fact that Africa is also suffering greatly from unemployment issues, considering the fact that we are the youngest continent, it's really sad. But at the same time, we're hoping a webinar like this will actually help push forward and encourage young Africans to actually go out there and pursue careers within the industry. So, first and foremost, I'd just like us to have a brief overview of how this unemployment situation has affected like different parts of Africa. Because, like here in Kenya, we can see some of these issues have been really, really depressing for the young people here. We've had people going to some extreme extents of even burning their certificates right after school because of being so frustrated. Some people have also even gone to extreme extents of suicide. And I'll just like us to just acknowledge this issue first before we address how major players within the industry can actually come in and intervene and give a lending hand. So yes, I don't know who'd like to go first, either Ondela or Naniki.
Okay,
Who?
I'll go because I'll be brief. I'm sure Naniki knows about this more because I mean she's in recruitment. I think also the situation is the same in South Africa. We have a lot of graduates, young graduates who are not employed. And the economy is also so tough that it's also quite difficult for them to also explore other opportunities like entrepreneurial opportunities. So it's a mixture of the economy and and how our government is managing it, as well as available opportunities that are there for graduates, especially. I mean, the youth, some of them, are not graduates, but, mostly what I want to, speak about is literally the youth, because it's so frustrating for them. So, like I said, I think Nanaki is able to touch that a bit more because she's on the more on the recruitment side, in the industry.
Overview, I think, of the youth in
Nanaki.
general. It is quite a dire situation, and not just in South Africa, but I think throughout Africa. South Africa, I think Africa looks at us as one of the more developed countries in the continent, and where a wealth of opportunities are. And unfortunately, at this stage, I think our youth are going through the same difficulties and trials, and we acknowledge that, and we acknowledge that our governments need to put out in terms of social development on that front as well. When we come to the iGaming side of things and creating those opportunities for youth, because that is such a industry that is booming, and that there is so much that can there's so much that can alleviate certain circumstances for youth and get them out of poverty and bring them into entry level jobs like contact center and such. There's so many initiatives that we are hoping that in this webinar, as well as in through just discussions that we're having in the background, being part of the larger group, that we're able to bring to the forefront, and develop more skills and break the taboo that I think throughout Africa, the biggest taboo is the stigma that goes to iGaming, and how iGaming is gambling, and it's not right, and it's a very hush hush industry. That actually there is a place for youth, and there is a place where companies can look at bringing in programs that will include their CSI, from those that do go to varsity and create graduating programs, to even those that come out of high school and cannot go to varsity, but can be afforded internships and learnership programs to go into the contact center of iGaming. That would be the immediate place where we can look at bridging the gap, because day on day we do get thousands of CVs where you know graduates or even non-graduates are looking for jobs. And we've always looked at how can we address this, what will be the issues in standing in terms of this, and how can we also play a part in contributing. So looking at things like this, I'm sure you'll agree with me, Ondela, getting into the industry is quite hard, and you have to either get knock on doors or know people or have networks or have connections. you
Yeah.
know I'd say also, for me, for those that do especially have LinkedIn, especially in this day of age and technology, LinkedIn is a great tool to put yourself forward, and learn. There's so many ways to join, like iGaming Africa, and different kind of groups, and put yourself out there professionally. Just start getting and looking into the industry, and getting your foot, connecting with people, because that's what it is. LinkedIn is there to provide and connect with people. you know um I think it's always about research. Those obviously that cannot research, if I look at Africa, there's constant road shows that they do. If we look at places like your bigger companies and some of your other, sports booking companies that go and do road shows, those are really great ways for them also, in that same breath, when they're doing their road shows, to encourage youth at the career opportunities that they have, and to perhaps also look at how they can say, okay, you can become a salesperson, and we'll take you through this training process. So yeah, I think it's definitely something that can be worked on. um yeah, African, as you say, a lot of Europe and the world are a lot more of an older demographic, whereas Africa is young. And they've and as you see now, a lot of our foreign investors who come and set up in South Africa, and within Africa, actually,
Yeah.
they do take more and more of the African community. So this is where those companies would need to say, we've got some kind of programs, also have kind of a give and take. That's how I feel personally about it, that there should be some kind of a give and take, where they can say, this is what we'll do, it will help the company in the long run and also grow people in the community to serve the community in areas where they are situated.
Just to highlight, from what you're saying, Nani, you mentioned about LinkedIn. I really do want to say to people, I got my first big break with Evolution via LinkedIn. Evolution is one of the biggest suppliers in the world. So literally, if you're looking for a job in iGaming, you want to be acquainted with LinkedIn. You want to use the tools, that LinkedIn, offers, for candidates that are looking for, opportunities. So that's just going to be a tip, from me. And you also spoke a mouthful, about, we know that there's a gap. And I think more than anything for me, you did mention it's very tough to get in the industry. But I also feel like once you're in the industry, it's easy to move around, but then it's difficult to just get in. So I'm not sure from your experience as a recruiter, I'd like to find out, of course, the industry is maturing now; it's getting bigger and bigger. But then, how much are employers, the organizations, whether it's the suppliers or the betting houses, how much are they absorbing people from the general public instead of recycling the Ondelas that are already in the, in the cycle, that are already in the industry? Because I feel we have a big gap there. We've got a big gap there where a lot of people, do want to get in, but then, are not able to. I know for a fact that, some of the opportunities that I've received were through referrals. Of course, there'll be due diligence that's done, but then it's because I know a person who, thought about Ondela when something was being mentioned. So from a recruitment point of view, do you think that, the employers, which could be suppliers or betting houses, do you think they're absorbing enough candidates from the general public? Because a lot of jobs, they always say casino, have some casino experience, have this much casino experience, whether it's from business development to account management, and all those operational jobs. So I just want to find out from you, do you think there's enough absorptions from the general candidates, or is there anything that's being done? Because from my own personal experience, I really feel there's a lot of recycling that's going on.
No, 100%. With my background as well, I do come from the industry as well, and I have found that to be true. However, what I can say from our side and what we've also tried to do, I also want to answer Abram's question. Sorry, he asked about that as well. Abram, I will get to your question in a few minutes, just to quickly answer Ondela. So in terms of this, we actually do have a few of our clients. I'm not going to name names, of course, as
Yeah.
per se, but we do have one or two that do actually take graduates and are looking at people who don't have necessarily the background. From I have more of a passion for the sports industry. They have a love for sports. They come from a sporting background, or they've always been passionate about sports, and they actually take those kind of people that have the skills. They could be in marketing, they could be in accounting and finance, but just because they have the skill, they have the skill plus the passion and the attitude, the right attitude for the jobs. So we try, especially even with the candidates. I would say, very diverse in the way I recruit and the way I put out to companies. I try a lot of the time, even if they're saying, iGaming experience, especially if it's your lower level entry jobs, I do try and put forward candidates that don't come from the industry necessarily. And because once I've spoken to those people, I can hear the passion, I can hear the person is willing to learn. They have that, they just present that. I don't know what you call it, je ne sais quoi, I guess, but they have that, just that thing that you like. This person, they will throw everything at it. They will learn, they will pick up the skill, and they have the tenacity and integrity. And those are the things as well, above all else, that companies look at. To answer Ondela, unfortunately, not a lot of the companies as yet are open, but I think post COVID, we're starting to see that turn. We're starting to see them, realize the gaps that are there, and start to look at how they can get involved, how they can bring in talent. And within within the group as well, we've had quite a lot of questions coming from clients going, is there anything that you guys are doing that are, training people that are coming out? So they've also looked to us for how, what other solutions there can be to help.
Okay.
Abram, and just to answer your question there, Mr. Lukopa, um, in terms of that as well, yes, we are definitely pushing. A lot of the European, guys that do come in and are looking for CEO or African VPs and director roles as well. We do actually have a few, for instance, unfortunately, like James, who wasn't here, unfortunately, but who have been successful in getting appointed. And there are a number of people that are making waves and starting and or have gotten in with the European companies in those senior management roles. It's not yet enough, but like we've been saying, the more we get out there and the more the people who have been, circulating in the industry also start putting their hands up and showing their skills. Because at the end of the day, how you present, guys, what
Mm.
you give, especially because a lot of the companies look on places like LinkedIn, plays a huge role for coming to those senior management roles. So I hope that answers you better, Abram, because a lot of them ask for those for your profile. So, if you feel you've got the talent to be there, update it, look what it needs still. Have a nice, have a good head photo shot of yourself, a headshot, because that's also vital in how you present yourself. Unfortunately, we do live in a world where outward appearance is looked at first. So if you've got a nice professional looking photo and, and your profile is up to date and things are, and we can see that your skills are also listed there, which are vital for this role, then you will start getting those inboxes and invites. So, it's the little things that individuals can do, but it's the little things like on these platforms where we can assist in guiding and helping people to prepare and how to put their best foot forward. That will go a long way. So, Andela, I hope I have kind of answered you where we're going.
No,
Um,
definitely you have. I think also just another thing that I need to highlight. I'm literally having a look at the questions, and I think it's would be good for us to highlight that the iGaming industry literally has two sides. We have
yeah.
the suppliers, which is the suppliers of the games. Literally, there's lots. I don't want to mention anyone at this point, but there's lots of suppliers. So iGaming literally is the online space where we have the table games, the casino games literally that you find on your phone on a website. And then so we've got the suppliers, and then we also have betting houses. So the suppliers supply the games to the betting houses, and then there's also platform providers that are like in the middle. So there's so much opportunity, but then also a lot of people are not even aware of those dynamics. Experienced with the on the supplier side. I've worked for suppliers, which are international suppliers. My head offices would be in Malta, most of the time. But then there's also other people in the iGaming space who are working for a platform provider. So there's someone asked, is the jobs for data scientists or analysts? Definitely. There's platform providers. There's a whole of integration that goes on. And then there's the actual betting houses that, I would mention there's, super bets, your Betway, your Hollywood bets, those are the betting houses. But then there's also so much that goes on behind the scenes that we also represent. So I just wanted to say that just to, have the people try and follow, when we spoke about iGaming, it's, to encompass that full, industry.
No, definitely. And just to ask Bafoking, just to give you a bit of a I guess background into the industry. So, like she's saying, there's the sportsbook, there's online casino, and then there's also land-based casino. iGaming, when we refer to that, is mainly the online-based, where people can connect via PCs and laptops and such. And in terms of data scientists and analysts, there are plenty of opportunities, especially because startups or young, or let's say companies that are coming from Europe into the African market, they always need the data analysis. They always need data before they can even start operating in all the countries. They need to have a look at first what's happening. Need to know what is the demographic there, what are people interested in what kind of, what kind of games are they interested in? Are they more sportsbook? Are they more in terms of betting, or are they more focused on the casino? What type of games do they like? So they need to look and do research on those type of things, and that's where the data analyst and the business analyst come in. That's where we have a need for those as well. So definitely, because any startup needs that constantly in their business to keep business going and to be able to start their business as well. From that, they're going to need things like BIs, business intelligence, because as the business goes and grows, they also need to look what's popular and what's not. So they need to keep ahead of trends, and also to keep their consumers and players engaged. So that's definitely a need for that as well. Um,
Thank you
Dismiss,
so
sorry.
much.
No
Thank you
problem.
so much, guys, for that. That was very, very insightful. And honestly, I've even taken a back seat to just watch you guys do your thing and tell us all these things, because I'm also learning. And it's really interesting what you guys have to say. But before we continue, I'd just like to mention that our webinar is also live on YouTube and LinkedIn for our audiences. Whoever wants to engage us, send us questions. And I can already see so many questions and comments coming in. So thank you guys for engaging with us. And once again, I would like to thank our sponsors for today's webinar, Age Legos, who are actually hosting an event this year from March 12th to March 15th. 2024. So anyone who can, avail yourselves and attend the event, that will be great. And we would love to see you and meet you there and get to know you. Um, in terms of you guys talking about, being active on LinkedIn, I think a lot of young people don't really understand the importance of being active on such platforms. And I think those are such great platforms to actually meet and interact with people, because I, for one, was also not very active. So the moment I joined iGaming Africa is when I realized the importance of actually being so active and engaging with so many different people from so many different countries, so many different industries, and it's really an eye-opening platform. So I think people should really take that into accountability, the fact that you should be active and proactive on platforms and spaces like LinkedIn. You guys have also talked about, careers like data analysts and the likes. And so I would like us to just touch on maybe the most common careers we have within the industry, and maybe if there are certain expertise or skill sets that are required for these specific common jobs that we have. Because I believe the gaming industry is a little bit like every other industry. We have the IT sector, the HR department, the communications department, finance, and I feel like anyone who's on the outside and has never really done much research on what goes on within the industry wouldn't even understand the structure is quite similar to a lot of industries out there. So, what do you guys have to say about this little title here we have?
You can go, Nani.
I feel like I was talking. Okay. Um, okay. So in terms of career opportunities, I think I did touch on a few in terms of when I was talking about data scientists. There's various facets. So even if you're somebody that's just come out of school, there's the contact center, which is sort of your entry level where you would start. For me, that's the ground zero, because that teaches you everything about the gaming industry. That's where I started. I got introduced to that. I learned about online casino games. I learned, what it was. I didn't even have any idea. I came from an insurance background, had no idea what it was about. And, they put us through training for that as well. Um, what what again as well, from there as well, there's other jobs from marketing, the marketing sector. They have graphic designers, they have copywriters, they have multimedia designers, they have social media managers, in that term of marketing. Then we've got operations. So operations would be the guys that, your contact center managers, the guys that make sure that everything in terms of the platform is running correctly, the sportsbook or the gaming, the queries, that the customer service experience side of it is being handled. Then you've got the IT sector, which breaks up into various, various various opportunities there in terms of your techs who just your general network support engineers who help with agents, help setting up desks, help getting everyone connected. From there, you've got also your UX and UI designers, which is your front end developers. You get your back end developers that have to make sure that the button that you press when you log in is working. You get accountants in the finance department, from junior accountants to your finance managers who have to oversee the running day to day of the business. As well as that, you get brand and communications managers as well. There's brand and communications. Social media has become quite a huge platform, and that's why they've expanded in terms of the marketing division. So social media is one of the biggest now. So most of the companies are seeing that they've needed since COVID, they've kind of needed to maintain a presence. So they have people who manage those communities, who communicate. There's also different languages that are spoken in different countries. We know in Africa, French is a big one. So French-speaking agents are always, on the lookout. People are always on the lookout for that, because that's one of the main African languages that are spoken. Obviously, English as well, but so those are just it's quite a multitude of opportunities that are there. It's a wealth of opportunities that are there, and that our skilled youth can actually start looking into and looking how they'd like to get into those industries. Yeah,
And I
Ondela, from
think,
your side.
yeah, shout out to D Money, as my friend there. I think you highlighted mostly, roles. Like I said, we've got different facets of the industry. You mostly highlighted from the betting houses point of view. Also from the supply side. I see that, Connor's actually, there's
Mm,
account managers, there's business development managers, there's translators, there's game designers, we have, international heads, So I think also with the opportunities that we're trying to explain, we also need to understand, I believe that, from what I've seen and what I've experienced, if you're looking, for an opportunity, on the supply side, in most probably, if you're in Africa, you're going to be, you might be employed, or you might be consulting for an employer that is, based in Malta or based somewhere in Europe. But then if you are looking for an opportunity from the betting house point of view, then you might get something that is within the country, because I know that a lot of people are, a lot of people from the supplier side, are working remotely in Africa as well as South Africa. So I've got a couple of colleagues in different companies that are working remotely, but then are working for suppliers. But then if you're looking at betting house point of view, like I said, I did mention in South Africa specifically, your Hollywood Bets, Betway, WSB, you are looking at a scope where you'd be working, in South Africa. So that's also another thing. There's lots and lots of roles that are available. And I think, the one thing that literally will set you apart, especially if you want to be, you want to attract, these international companies, your LinkedIn must, be, top tier. From the headshot, like you mentioned, from the headshot to your information, your past jobs, and small things like spelling, push things off. So yeah, so if I want to just reiterate on the LinkedIn profile again. Thank you, Q.
Thank you so much, guys, for that. I just want us to go to talk about how we mentioned being a sports and betting fan is not really a necessity, but at times it can make you stand out because you have a certain passion towards something. You tend to stand out compared to someone who just has credentials and is not really ready to put in the work and be motivated and just go all out. So I feel like that speaking of certain roles and so many open roles for people to take up within the industry, there's still this gap where we see within Africa, a lot of companies and organizations tend to just prefer hiring people from abroad to work remotely as compared to actually having young Africans who are qualified and have the right credentials to actually just get into these specific roles. So I don't know what the issue or what the reasons behind that kind of trend or kind of emergence is. So I don't know if Nike has anything to add on this one, because at least you're the one from the recruitment sector. So
Yeah. This is a
maybe you
controversial
have,
one.
yeah, maybe she has a better understanding of why this happens a lot.
So, if we take a look, pre-COVID, there's been the common stereotype. I think in Europe, there's a common stereotype that Africa doesn't have the skills. Obviously, thankfully, post COVID now, that's kind of starting to change. It's still a bit slower than what we'd like, but it's starting to change. And we can see that, Africa's on the up and it's on the turn. And platforms like this, I mean, Africa's rising. So there was that, and slowly but surely we're starting to get rid of that mindset as people are starting to get hired by the these European countries. Um, and we also on our side, we continually trying to educate foreign investors, because when they come to us and approach us and say they are looking for staff and things like that, we do we do kind of we do also give them the scope and the length of the talent that is available in Africa. So we tell them, the whole, it's not just a certain part that they look for when they're looking for the whole setup. We do advise on, those senior positions, on those developer positions, on those IT positions, that we do have that wealth of talent here. So from our side, we really do try and educate the investors on the wealth of talent that we can provide them, as well as showing them when we do give them profiles. Um, we we always don't, it's a great thing for everyone to work. Your Ondelas, your James, there was another lady is here as well who mentioned that she's in Malta as well. I think it was Sarah. She said she's in Malta as well. It's fantastic when you get those European opportunities. Whilst it's good to be, hired out in Europe and everything as well, we trying to encourage those platforms and those providers to not just do a quick, in 6 months out of Europe, and then out again and leave, because that also leaves our guys very vulnerable in Africa, in terms of when we get to things like your compensation, and now they're outpriced in the market. So, these are the things that we've been trying to put across, and we're hoping that, the companies, and we've seen as well, we've actually seen quite a number of changes with a few. There's quite a large one that came in quite recently to Africa. As I say, I'm not going to name names, but it's in terms of the sporting, and they actually hired from African. They took, they took from Africa, they've taken senior management. So that's something we're really proud of, and something we think, we would like to see it continue to stay there, but also be a longevity, because that's one of the problems we've realized, is that when they do come in, it's a short period. We'd like them to stay for a longer period, so that people can actually make careers out of it as well.
Another thing that, on my end, that I'd like to highlight, it's privy, to all of us in the industry. The industry is also a bit biased to women. I know that there are not a lot of women in the industry; it's male dominated, and that's this also, other initiatives that need to be done to introduce women to gaming, especially iGaming. And I know very well, I've worked with women in the industry, and they're doing very well. But when you go to spaces, we're going to ICE in London next week. There's so many networking events, and then that's when you actually realize that you're part of a small percentage, and you're actually quite lucky. But then also that limits you in in the sense of of what you can do and what you cannot do, because it's a it's male dominated, and the companies that are bigger, are European companies. So there's only so much that we can do, or there's only so much influence we can have to them also just exposing women to the opportunities. So I think, just to add on to that, I think that's also where we are seeing the gap. That's when we spoke about the training and development that it needs to be introduced to the general public, or the general people who are interested in the industry, to try and bridge that gap so that everyone is aware of what the iGaming industry entails of, so that they're able to decide if they'd like opportunities or not. I mean, yeah, with the growing industry.
For sure. Touching on that as well, that was something that came very close to our hearts last year as well. There was a summit here in the big summit in Emperors. And from there was a couple of women in gaming that were on the panels and that we had conversations with.
Yeah.
And there is actually a group on LinkedIn called Women in Gaming
Mm.
that Lois has started, and that a couple of the women that have started and we've all joined in. And we think that's also a great way now to start strengthening. So at things like Sigma this year and the summit now that's coming again in March, there'll be representation, and we can start having clout in the industry and having women be
Yeah.
a bit more at the forefront, and it has been a very male dominated, and these
Mm.
women are all from various areas where they are now sitting at the top of positions like head of finance, managing directors. And bringing them together will also help us in empowering the other younger women and youth to say, this is where you can get to, and empowering and giving them the skills, in things like this, and talks and hosting things like this, where we can say this will be. So definitely on LinkedIn, there is that group. So please, I think that's a great way as well. What you've mentioned, Ondela, we do need more women in gaming, because women have this certain way and of conducting business, of doing things, especially when it comes to the provider side of things.
Yeah.
Um, side of the business, like you've been saying, your provider platform providers, and business development,
Yeah.
that's where essentially I think as women we fit in more into the mall, and we can network better in terms of that. So I'd love to see more women in those kind of roles, and actually
Mm.
putting, testing the waters, and
Yeah.
making that leap into that kind of career, because that will open a lot of the doors at the moment, that are there, because there are opportunities very much so in those
Yeah.
industries as well, which don't necessarily always require you to have the experience in gaming. And on the provider side, there's a lot more um, of the guys and the owners who are willing to say, yes, you've got account management, you've got this, we're gonna give you that chance, we're gonna upskill you and let you fly. So yes,
And I
very
think also just to put responsibility on you, Nani, initiate International Connexus Group. You guys have, responsibility. You will get, suppliers. Might be a supplier, say from Malta, if they're looking for a certain type of person. You actually have a responsibility to absorb, first of all, like what we were speaking about earlier, absorb, a candidate from the general, public that's not necessarily coming from the industry, but then you also have the responsibility, to speak for women if you ever come across a CV, because I'm not sure what happens. You would know if maybe they would actually specifically ask for males, for certain type of roles, or it's maybe be because males are already so saturated in the industry that it's easier to get, more males to get in. So I think you have a responsibility, especially as, with the recruitment company and more or less having monopoly, I would say, and having so much exposure into, these things that we're talking about, exposing the women, and, also, exposing the general public, or speaking on behalf of them if you really, really, meet or see that there are great candidates out there.
Yeah,
sure.
so sorry,
Same.
I'll just finish up and then I'll take it over from there.
Okay. No, I was going to say to you, surprisingly, lately, the industry is doing this now. It's actually more women that are being asked for in certain positions. We're finding that our clients are coming back and saying, well, I actually prefer if it is a woman. Not to say, but some do. And
Yeah,
I think that's a positive for us, because there are certain things, I guess, that women have that men don't generally have. And like you say, because it was so oversaturated, they're now
yeah,
seeing the gaps, and they're now seeing the benefit of having a woman in such positions.
yeah. All right, that's good to hear.
Yeah, that's actually really good because we can see, as much as we are saying there's a gap with the female population within the industry, I think we've seen like a couple of women from different countries, from South Africa to Nigeria, just taking up those big executive roles, and they're out there doing us proud. And we're hoping, we also get to those positions and open up the doors to other young women who can't wait to join the industry and actually be part of it. So speaking of training and exposure and all those acquiring of technical skills and such, there is something Initiate International is actually working on, and I would just like Naniki to just give us those exciting news, because I think the exciting news, personally for me, I think that's exciting news, because we keep on saying there's not enough exposure and people don't have avenues for being trained and having access to all these things. So I think what we're about to talk about next is really exciting for anyone who wants to actually take the next step career wise. So yeah, Naniki, please just give us a brief overview of what you guys are doing.
All right. So since our merger last year and to becoming part of the Connexus group, we've been very vocal about, getting Africa and giving people opportunities in Africa. So part of the Connexus group, we have a variety of providers. One of them is the iGaming Academy. iGaming Academy is actually quite big in Europe. It's a lot of the companies use it to train their they use it to train their employees as well and introduce them to iGaming. So the CEO, Jamie DeBono, has actually offered a 50% discount on their iGaming introduction to iGaming course. So this would be for people who have they have they've never done iGaming before. They have no idea what it is. It's and yeah, it's there's a discount code that will be applied. It is a fantastic offer for you guys. It is something that will introduce you. I'm currently on it because we wanted to see what the offering is, so that and how it works, and also just to refresh our knowledge as well of the industry and certain areas of it. So this is a crash course in iGaming, which you can use for entry level. You can do it on a personal level. If companies out there are looking to get their guys upskilled and to get their guys who are graduates or who are matric students in, and they want them in their contact centers, this is a great way to actually get them there. It's broken down into 4 classes, and the promo screens right now are going on your screen that you can use. It'll be valid until the 19th of February, but the course entails it addresses casino, it addresses sportsbook. There's a link as well which you can look at the curriculum. It's really, really been great. It gives you a history of iGaming as well, telling you a bit more about that. Per year, these guys train from 60 to 80,000 people per year, and that's just on. They have various other courses that you can do. These courses are accredited in Europe. They've been recognized. They are recognized by various bodies, gaming bodies that side as well, and we are currently in talks with in South Africa, but they are recognized, and you get your certificate at the end of the course. This introduction to gaming, it's a 4 session. Each session is 4 hours. So it's a 12-hour session overall. It's a fantastic opportunity. I would say grab it with both hands, guys. At this price, you really won't get it again. Um, it's it's informative. It's done in the evenings, or most of the time. I think for us in Africa, it will be the evenings, or just around from, I think, 6 o'clock. If you're in West Africa, it would probably be from about 6 o'clock. But it's insightful, and it'll give you, for those who don't have the experience or who are wanting to learn more, it'll give you a foot into the door. If you are looking at other courses and you want to do other things, there's a variety that they've got. Okay, so that's from us, Mercy. That's thanks to the iGaming Academy.
No, definitely. I want to say that, I mean, for anyone who's looking for opportunities in the industry, please go for that course. I actually noticed when I was going through the link that, there's some courses that I actually did myself when I started off in the industry. So I think it's a great initiative that, the iGaming Academy is doing to bridge, that gap. So I'm happy. Kudos for that. Then just to answer, there's a question Aset was asking. The group on LinkedIn is called Women in Gaming. Women in Gaming on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that's great stuff happening there with iGaming Academy, and I think I'll also sign up for these courses because I'm
You
also in
should.
the learning process. I'm new in the industry. I think it's a really great initiative,
Yeah.
considering there's not much of that going around, and we hope to see more of things like iGaming Academy and other initiatives, from fairs to more events where people can actually have enough exposure and platforms to network and get to learn and be exposed to what the industry has to offer. So the next thing I wanted to talk about is how the integration of technology or the evolution of technology has actually affected people being integrated within the iGaming industry here in Africa. Because back then, because it's a very young industry in the continent, I guess
Mm.
that's why also a lot of people are not really aware of the job opportunities that lie within it. So
Yeah.
I think the integration of technology and the evolution of technology itself has played a key role in ensuring people actually get to participate and have careers within the iGaming industry. So what do you think are like some of the major technological advancements that have actually ensured for us to have paved way for us to have more people working within the iGaming industry?
I think it's like you said, it's literally played a key role. I myself, I'm in South Africa. I am the only one in Africa, in my company. The team is literally, like I said, we've got people in Ukraine, Poland, Japan, Malta. So I mean, also just having that opportunity to be able to blend with the other, with my colleagues who are, come from different cultures, and it's only I have this opportunity only because I've got a PC that I'm able to work use to to do my work. So the introduction or the integration of technology has literally, I think it's assisting and it's bringing the unemployment question or the opportunity question closer to us Africans, because now it's easier to work for anyone because of the technology tools we have in place and the resources that we currently have. So it's very important, and it's played a very big pivotal role. And this is also just to highlight with my previous, I've worked for, other companies, big suppliers, all of them, in the sense where I was able to conduct my duties remotely. And I mean, and I've gained so much experience, and I think I'm, literally getting more opportunities because I was able to work with certain people. And I wouldn't be able to because I'm not based in Malta, I'm not based in Doha, I'm not based in, Spain or Europe. So I think it's really played a pivotal role, and I think it's working towards closing the gap that you talk about for the opportunities in the iGaming industry.
All right, thank you for that, Ondela. Nanaki, do you have anything you'd like to add on the same?
I was just saying for sure. No, I think she's hit the nail on the head. It's definitely opened that door and it's brought Africa closer to the European opportunities, and and vice versa, especially with the European companies now seeing what's happening in Africa and wanting to get involved in Africa. But for African youth and people, it's given us the opportunity to explore and see what opportunities are there and actually get into places like your especially Europe, your Russia, your Cyprus, your Malta, your Ukraine, the Poland, those places. It's amazing how when you speak to Africans all over Africa, one of the other, just because of technology, just because of the leaps and bounds that have been made by the telecoms, they've been able to being able to connect people all over the world, and it's given them opportunities, that the skills that these guys are learning, that Africans are learning through the Europeans, or that are the skills or the way that people work that side as well, we're able to bring through into Africa. And for that's going to also strengthen and build up the African economy. We can't hear you, Mercy. You're
I
a bit.
also can't hear her.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about that. I think there's a tiny bit of a hiccup. But I'm
Mm.
saying thank you so much for that. But before we actually get to the last question, I just want to tell our audience for any guys with questions, because I see you guys have tackled most of the questions we've had. You guys have done a really good job. You've made my work easier. So thank you for that. Okay, all the questions you've been forwarded. But if anyone else has extra questions or anything you'd like Ondela or Naniki to clarify for you, just please don't hesitate to share it in the comments and we'll get right to it. So, the last thing I'd like us to talk about before we answer any more questions is what do you think are like the secrets to building a long lasting and successful career within the iGaming industry? Because at times you find people really don't just tend to jump from job to job and they don't really get to stabilize and have something consistent and successful that helps them grow and actually make a name for themselves. So what do you think are like the key things that have actually helped you individually to just grow within the industry and become this successful so far?
Okay.
Okay, we're going to go at the same time. Awesome. Okay, I'll go off. I think for me, making the transition from where I started, as I said, from customer service, I came in hungry, wanting to know more about the industry. I learned, worked myself up. I was given the opportunities with growth within the company, and I think when you show that perseverance, when you put in that, that extra, go the extra mile, and really just show through your work and your passion that you're passionate about this, you can go a long way. Also connecting with people, networking. Networking, not in the industry, but networking within your company. I mean, if you're interested in marketing but you're sitting in a different place, start talking to someone in the marketing division. Start, seeing if there's, tasks that you can do, that you can show, that your interest. It's passion. It's just a hunger to want to excel, and build skills. Don't wait for somebody to offer you something. You go out and grab it, because at the end of the day, it's only yourself that you can make those opportunities happen for yourself. And it takes you just, speaking to someone and saying, "Hi, Edgar, I saw you there on the opportunities. Do you have an opportunity for me? I saw you on the webinar. Hi, Esetu, it was great talking to you. Um, can I'm interested in this. Could you give me some advice?" So I think as people, it's just about networking, and building a presence, and just being open, and being passionate about what you are pursuing or what you'd like to pursue,
Mm.
and going for it. And that will give you a long and sustaining career in iGaming. I mean, from iGaming, I eventually got into recruitment, and I love what I do, because for me, and even for my colleagues, it's rewarding seeing somebody have an opportunity they never had before, and be able to make a career and get themselves in a better place than where they were. Just that building stepping stone. That's what for me is the best about helping candidates, and
Yeah.
and and helping people. And I think building a long-term career, passion, network, and
Mm.
just, and a love for learning, a love for just finding out things, being curious about the things that you want to follow and pursue. Definitely.
I think for me personally, so I didn't have experience in iGaming 3 years ago. When I started to work one of the biggest suppliers. It's literally being steadfast. I literally hunted down my first boss, literally on LinkedIn. I was in his DMs like, "Hello, I sent you my CV. Did you get my CV? I see you're hiring. It's been 2 weeks. Hello, how are you doing? Is your coffee nice? I saw your post today, you know?" So literally being steadfast and being intentional about what you want is very important. We spoke about LinkedIn. It's a very, 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 very big, in the industry. And also, just being flexible. A lot of things change a lot. There's a lot of regulations. You also need to be aware of what's happening around you, within your landscape in Africa as well as around the world, so that where you stand, within your role. So being steadfast, be flexible, and also networking plays a big part. I think for me, more than anything, I wouldn't have been successful if I didn't have the networks that I have, gained in the past 2 to 3 years. So that's also quite important. And, just being dedicated. If you want to be in the space, you will be in this space. You just literally just need to do your job. There's no other way about it. Deliverables, are trackable. So, you just need to be able to make sure that you work, do what you're supposed to do, and you fly, and also just be proactive. So yeah, that's all I'm going to say now to cut it short.
I think it just keeps on going back to networking and being proactive and being dedicated. I think if people really just focus on these things, they'll just realize how much potential the iGaming industry has for them, as much as they have potential for the industry itself. So, thank you so much for sharing those insights. Those are very, very insightful points you guys had. And before we continue or like answer any questions that have been left unanswered, I would just like to tell our audience that iGaming Africa has created a group on LinkedIn called iGaming Jobs Africa. And this group is, keep on saying initiatives of networking and availing jobs. So join these groups, network with people, and job opportunities will just be displayed for you. Just be proactive. Like Ondela said, be proactive and, just do what you need to do to actually be seen and be heard and be recognized, because nothing effort does not go unrecognized. That's for sure. I think anyone in the industry who's made an effort to network and actually just be active, as you guys have said, has reaped the rewards of actually putting in the effort. So I don't know if you have any unanswered questions, because I can see a lot of engagements and it's, positive reinforcement. And thank you guys so much for that. There's so much positive reinforcement there. People are saying thank you, they are being inspired, and we're also equally grateful. We are seeing some guys saying thank you for the session from Agatha. Thank you, Agatha, for engaging with us.
Hi,
Chidi
Agatha.
Emmanuel says it's very insightful, but his thought is that we need to have more traditional games that we tell stories about as Africans. We are consuming a lot of content from foreign providers, which has saturated the market. So, still going back to being proactive, I think we also need to
Yeah,
put in a lot of effort.
definitely.
As much as we
Yeah,
keep on saying we need those jobs, I think
Yeah,
if we actually take the initiative to put the effort to be seen and heard, then we will definitely see
yeah,
the industry growing and being fruitful within the continent for sure.
yes,
Sarah A says, thank you, ladies. I'm inspired and happy that Africa is coming closer and being part of the African diaspora. This is encouraging. Thank you so much, Sarah, for that. Edgar also says, my name is Edgar, and he's working with mental health and, networking. Like we said, Edgar is there networking. And thank you, Edgar, for that. Thank you so much.
yeah. Chidi,
Um,
mostly just to interrupt there, sorry, I just wanted to answer
sure.
Chidi there quickly. Chidi, very insightful. I mean, if you're a developer, yes, I mean, let's put a proposal together. Let's get it over to those suppliers that create and develop these kind of games, because that would be you're onto something there, So yeah, definitely. Like Ondela said, stalk these people, but please, yes, please join us on LinkedIn as well, and just
yeah,
yeah, let's help you get proactive about it. That's a brilliant idea. I think you on that everyone will be flooding the market to want to play African games because it talks to them.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure. I can also see engagements from Camila saying that she's a video editor and looking for jobs. Camila, we have talked about these groups on LinkedIn, being proactive, just go ahead and push yourself and network with these people. And we are here to support each other. I think the thing I love most about the iGaming industry is the type of support I see people from
Yeah,
different companies offering each other.
yeah.
It's really great to be part of it. It's unlike anything I've seen in other industries, honestly. And people
Mm,
are always so willing to network and help
yeah,
you out. So just go ahead and talk to these people. People here are
mm,
not selfish. People will not ignore your requests, and
mm,
ask for help, ask for ways to network and grow yourself as a professional. And I guarantee you it will bear fruit one way
mm.
or the other. So thank you so much, Camila, for that. Um, Honestly, I do not think we have anything else to say other than closing remarks. But before, I
I
guess you
actually,
have something to say. So
I
I'll
actually
let you.
wanted to say, yeah, I was being controversial, about, a lot of with the industry having a lot of being male dominated. But I think, have to give kudos. I myself have had males in the industry who've helped me, be where I am. Glenn Marcus, Delego Likopa, you guys, thank you. So even though, it is saturated and, with men, there are literally people who are willing to, help women. And then for anything else, on the poster, if anyone wants to reach out regarding anything or how to stock an employer, you can literally, reach out to me on LinkedIn or via my email address. I think it's on the poster that Jeremiah put on for everyone. Otherwise, thank you so much for being with us. And Jeremiah, thank you for having us. iGaming Africa, appreciate the platform. And yeah, looking forward to speaking or meeting with with all of you guys soon and to more networking. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ondela, for that one. Before we go to closing remarks and unfortunately bidding goodbye to our audience, I'd like to also say that we have a group on Telegram, still on the topic of networking. We'll just keep on pushing you people to push yourselves. We push you to push yourselves. And that was the entire point of this webinar today, to just for it to be a guide to and actually encourage you to go the extra mile. So we have a group on Telegram, iGaming Africa. Just we'll share a link in the descriptions below, and just go ahead and join the groups and get to meet different people, because like we said, people in this industry are very supportive, and we love to see it, we love to experience it. And yeah, so before we close and bid everyone goodbye, I would just like to give Nanaki a chance to, maybe say something to the audience, a word of encouragement, advice, anything you've got for the people before we actually end today's session.
Yeah, I was just saying, let's keep the Ubuntu. As us Africans, as you know, we are people through other people. That's what it means. So keep on asking those questions, keep on pushing, keep on aspiring and persevering. You're more than welcome to follow Initiate's page as well as connect with me, with myself, and ask questions. Ondela, like she said, she only started 3 years ago in the industry, but look at how much a wealth of knowledge she's acquired. Um, you know, I've also been probably 4 or 5 years now in the industry, and it's just about sharing. It's just about, we also started where people helped us get
Mm,
to where we are. So
yeah.
let's help each other. As Africans,
Mm,
that's the one unique thing that I can say. We are warm
yeah.
people. We are a
Yeah.
people that love each other and will help each other. We will help a complete stranger on the side of the road because
Sure.
that's who we are. It's ingrained in us that we help each other. So let's lift each other up, and at the next year's ice, let's see more Africa, let's see more startups, let's see more women in gaming.
Yeah.
Let's see a movement that doesn't just end here, and
Mm,
that where a movement where people have taken things on board. Let's see better, profiles on LinkedIn. Let's see
yeah.
youth. Let's see the uprise of youth on LinkedIn putting themselves out there and saying, I'm here, I want to be a part of this, because that's the only way to strengthen Africa. She is the way that will lead the world globally. And we've led in so many ways, and iGaming is another way now that it's time for us to rise up and take over and show the world what we can do as well from our side. So that's just on my side. So thank you so much, iGaming Africa, for giving us the opportunity. Being a last minute replacement, I was like, but I thoroughly enjoyed communicating with everyone, interacting with everyone. You guys are all amazing. Been very insightful, and I'm glad to be able to have shared this platform with you all.
Thank you so much, Naniki, for those beautiful, beautiful remarks. I don't know if Ondela has anything.
No, I think I've closed off on my end. Thank you. I mean, there's people, I really hope that everyone has gained something from this. And Lisa says that, gave us some insight, a lot of insight, and some nuggets to navigate, a way through LinkedIn. So, like I said, for anything further, I'm open to, Like I said, I'm on LinkedIn. I've got my email address. Reach out. If you want to be part of it, just reach out and also, try to be proactive yourself by doing, something about being, about wanting an opportunity in the industry. I mean, the cake is big enough. There's enough pie for everyone. So I'm literally, I think from this, looking forward, like what Naneki is saying, that it must not just stop here, but then I'm looking forward to the movements, and the strides that will be taken, by myself to help other people, by Naneki to continue to speak, for candidates, and any way that we can to help grow, this industry in South Africa for our youth, and also just help eradicate the unemployment. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. It's been so lovely having you on board, and I have definitely also learned a lot. As much as at times people see you in these things and they assume you don't know everything. You're also learning from each other,
Mm.
and it's been great and it's been very insightful. As we close, I would also still like to acknowledge our sponsors for today's webinar, Age Legos Nigeria. Thank you so much for making this webinar happen and for making this possible for us. Again, they have an event in March 12th to 15th, and we hope to see you there. So, Ondela and Naniki, I don't know if you guys are going to be there, but I'm also hoping to meet other people there as well. So, people from our audience, I hope
Talking
we
of
get
the Big Africa, the summit, Big Africa Summit.
no Edge Legos.
Oh, H Legos. Oh, okay. I actually saw that event today. Okay, might just see you.
I won't be at age, but I'll be at something else that's coming up in Africa later on. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that and the one in Ghana. So that'll be very amazing to be there.
Well, thank you so much for being here, and we are so glad to have you. And thank you for our listeners and our viewers, and so many people who have engaged with us today. Also, thank you to my mom. She was very adamant on watching today's webinar, so I hope I've done her proud wherever
Oh
she
my
is.
word, that's nice.
She
Thank you
was
to my
very
mom as well,
Uh,
and my dad.
yes.
You know?
So yeah, we appreciate that support system we have. They don't know how much we need it. So
Oh my
yeah, thank you
god.
everyone. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for being here with us, and see you in the next iGaming webinar session, live session, episode 11. And I hope to see all of you there too. So thank you so much and have a lovely weekend.